How's it going, Beyond the Benches? It's your man JT coming at you with another Beyond the Benches show to talk about the Miami Dolphins as they continue to roll through the preseason here on a rainy day here in Florida, pouring outside. If you happen to hear any background noises of that, that's what you're hearing. But it was looking pretty sunny for the Miami Dolphins Thursday night as they overall get the win over the Atlanta Falcons in their first preseason matchup, 34-27, in a game that saw a lot of new Miami Dolphins hit the field for the very first time. The two quarterbacks, a new look offensive line, undrafted rookie receiver Preston Williams, who had been heard about in training camp, came out as a star in that game. You saw a couple of new tight ends. Of course, the defense with its new zone-based scheme, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. But you saw a lot of new guys like Jonathan Ledbetter and Dwayne Hendricks. And a lot of guys, Bobby McCain in the safety position. Minka was still playing some safety. So you got to see a lot of changes for the Miami Dolphins. They go ahead, and I think they were down 19-13 or 19-10 at the end of the first half, and they end up winning 34-27, like I mentioned, by the end of the game. Couple of touchdowns by Mark Walton, the new running back, formerly from the University of Miami. So, good for fans there. Of course, Preston Williams is probably the star. 4 highlight reel catches. I think he had 5 all in total. Helping the young Josh Rosen out a little bit. And this kid looks legit. And he was somebody that the minute we got him as an undrafted rookie, people kind of found his tape and were like, oh, wow, check out this guy. And, they kind of found out that he had really been balling in high school and in college. Ran into some, some trouble with the law. Was hit with the domestic violence charge back at the age of 17. But that was 5 years ago. So, with every year that he continues to stay out of trouble and continues to just work at football, and if he can make plays like this and there's no more of, his past self to worry about, Miami Dolphins may have found a true steal in Preston Williams. So, again, I was a little late on the train because, again, a lot of people started talking about him even the minute we picked him up, and then through training camp, a lot of people were saying he's living up to some of that. But I wanted, I had my reservations because, a lot of times you hear about these guys who are training camp stars, and they're just that. They kind of look good in practice with, low contact or anything like that, but they don't really translate into the games or ever into their careers. Maybe they're not gamers. Preston Williams looked like a gamer, right? He looked legit. I thought the two quarterbacks looked very good. The number one thing that stood out to me that probably could be an upgrade this very year over even a year 7 Tannehill or year 6 Tannehill was the pocket presence. Even though Tannehill was a mobile quarterback, he always seemed to struggle when the pocket collapsed, getting out of it, avoiding those sacks. Both Ryan Fitzpatrick and Josh Rosen had a couple of plays where it looked like they probably would have been sacked, but they kind of make a spin move or jump or do something, some kind of move to get out of the pocket, roll out, look for a receiver. Ryan Fitzpatrick on his ended up rolling out and finding Devontae Parker. Josh Rosen ended up rolling out and having to throw the ball away. But even then, you think, okay, in that play, Josh Rosen avoided what looked like a clear sack, ends up throwing the ball away. So at least it's neutral, not a sack where you're taking a loss of yards and also potentially getting your quarterback hurt. So that was positive to see. As far as Rosen, who I think is obviously going to be the mainstay, he got far more time. He had 39 plays in this game as Fitzpatrick only had 13. He did throw a pick. He also had a couple of passes that I just, one to Preston Williams that obviously was completed, but not a pass he should have thrown. He was completely off balance, just kind of lobbed it up there in a regular season game with, starting caliber corners. That probably doesn't go well for you. Josh Rosen even admitted so in the press conference. But he also had some really sharp passes. Again, escaped the pocket a few times. I like to see that. Threw the ball into coverage, a nice spiral. Like to see that. Honestly, I think he has earned the right to see a little bit more time with the ones this week. Because really by week 3, you probably want to start deciding who's going to be your starter come the regular season. So I think this year you got to give Josh Rosen a run with those number 1 guys and see how does he look. How does he look starting the game? How does he look playing with Devontae Parkers and Kenny Stills and a starting O-line? So I would like to see that this week as I, am going to get a first-hand look at both the practice and the game. But lastly, I thought the comment was the defense. Now, the only real difference you saw going from, the 4-3 of last year to this hybrid 3-4 is that they basically ran a lot of zone, last Thursday, that is. Which is, a byproduct of the 3-4. But obviously Brian Flores is hiding a lot of his defensive play calling. It's the preseason, so he really only gave away that, which is a very basic idea. Of course, zone being where you cover a space. But unfortunately, since there were so many backups and kind of undrafted and unproven guys, a lot of them you could tell, didn't really know how to play the zone, and they ended up just kind of covering grass more than covering receivers and got burned quite easily. So a lot of people talked about, the cornerback play being awful or being terrible. I don't think it was great, obviously, and they did get burned, and I'm not saying it's going to be great, especially after Xavier Howard, who I think is legit, and then maybe if you have a Bobby McCain or a Minka Fitzpatrick behind him, I think you can be good there too. I do think you'll have some problems with your 3, 4, 5 corners, but also as they get more comfortable running zones, running this new defense, I think their play will get better with that as well. So now we move forward. This Friday we have the Miami Dolphins are heading to Tampa Bay, my city of Tampa Bay, to take on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and I am going to have the fortune of being there live for the Wednesday practice this week. I'll be tweeting and sending out plenty of pictures, hopefully some autographs if I get ever so lucky, and I'll be giving some reports of what I see, what's going down at practice there, and then I will also be attending the Friday preseason game as well. Hopefully I have some good seats, get right up in there. Again, more pictures, more tweets from the game. So definitely follow me on Twitter at JT_Evans97. Follow Beyond the Benches either on Facebook or on the website, because lots of good stuff is going to be coming out this week with me being able to attend both the practice and the game live in person. Again, hopefully be able to get some good stuff for you. I'd like to see a little bit more out of Josh Rosen. I'd like to see them change a few things. The offensive line struggled in the first preseason game, so I'd like to see them maybe take a couple of guys out of the starting offensive line, put a couple more guys in, see if you get a different result. And then, of course, seeing guys get more acclimated to this defense. I wouldn't say it's terrible, but at the same time, you gave up 27 points to a Falcons team that never played Matt Ryan, its starting quarterback. So clearly room to improve on the defensive side of the ball as well. But let me know what you guys thought about the first preseason game, rather, if I can say it. We did get the W, like I said, 1-0. So hey, you ain't got to worry about, we haven't won a preseason game. I remember that was a thing last year, and they ain't got to worry about it. They got the W out of the way. So they could have looked a lot worse, but obviously room to improve as well. And hopefully I'll be able to see that improvement this week. But you guys have a good one. Again, let me know what you thought down in the comment section below. And make sure to follow Beyond the Benches everywhere available so you don't miss out. See ya.